Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another beginner's guide video. Today, I'm going to show you guys the best deck you can build with just 2 Pride of the Saiyan structure decks that are new with set 14. This deck is only going to be built out of cards that came in the structure deck. I will also go over at the end of the video how you can upgrade the deck with some pretty cheap alternative options, as well as another build path you can go if you want to take this deck in a bit of a more competitive route. Firstly, I want to shout out my boy Adrian, No Counters, No Combos. If you guys are new to this game and have not checked his channel out, make sure to do so after this video. And besides that, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell to never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways in the description to do so, but particularly today, if you want to buy any of the cards you see in today's video, or if you want to buy the structure deck for today's deck profile, make sure to use the link in the description to TCG Player. It does help out a lot. That being said, we'll get started. We will move the deck over for now and go over the leader. We have a really good Vegeta leader here. This leader is really good in my opinion, even in the competitive landscape. So auto when he attacks, draws a card and gains 5,000 power. That's just really good. Like the plus 5k for free is always a really good thing. You're almost like attacking as an awakened leader on your unawakened side, which is particularly good for attacking 15k unisons. So that can be nice. You're awakened. You can awaken when your life's at 4 or less, or if you have a 2-cost unison in play. And if you do that with the unison in play, you take life down to 5 life. And then you untap 2 of your energy. Untap 2 is an awaken we don't really see all the time anymore. It's very powerful. So the fact that this guy has it is a really good thing. We get to our awakened side, SSB Vegeta Spirit Boost Elite. Auto when this card attacks, draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 unison card with specified cost of 2 and no keyword skills, and it gains double strike for the turn. So you're able to be very aggressive with that ability. And then he has another auto once per turn, Spirit Boost 1. And if you guys are new, Spirit Boost 1 means you have to take a marker off of your unison to activate this effect. If your unison is being attacked, you negate the attack, and then your unison gets plus 6,000 power for the turn. So the unisons we play in this deck are going to be 15,000 power base, so making them 21k just makes it so much more difficult for your opponent to actually take your unisons off the field. And if you guys didn't know, the way you take unisons off the field, there are a few effects in the game that straight up remove them, but besides that, you got to knock their markers down to 0 to actually take them out of the game. So we'll go over the unisons that we play. We are playing 4 copies of Cabo Spirit Resonance, the unison that was pretty much built for this deck. So he has quite a few effects. Auto limit 1 if he's placed in the drop area from the unison area. You can give your leader plus 5,000 power, so that's pretty nice. Like the leader protects the unison, and if the unison still happens to die, you can protect your leader or make your leader a bit stronger. And then he has a plus 1 activate main. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards, and they get minus 10,000 power for the turn. So that's a really nice effect just for being able to remove your opponent's battle cards or make them a bit weaker so you can attack into them. The minus 6 honestly doesn't really come up a whole lot, especially because we're spirit boosting a lot, so we're going to be taking markers off of our unison, but it is somewhat of an additional way to deal some damage if you happen to make it to that point. And we are also playing 2 copies of Master Roshi Potential Unleashed. I actually really like that they included this unison in this deck because it's a bit more aggressive. When it's played, you can burn your opponent for a damage if they're above 4 life. And the activate main plus 1, you can give him plus 5,000 power. And then again, the minus 4 is going to be a little bit tough to resolve because we are going to be doing some spirit boosting in this deck, but you can give him plus 15,000 power and double strike for the turn. So we're playing 6 unisons because we want to have a unison to awaken, so we want to make sure that we draw 1 early enough. And here comes an excellent reprint from the structure deck. We have 4 copies of Yamcha Merciless Barrage. Basically, he's a counterplay that can be used for free as long as we have a unison in play with 2 or more markers on it. And when he's counterplayed, you get to choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards and give them minus 15,000 power. This counterplay sometimes is not so great, but in certain formats like the one we're in now and the previous format, is actually incredible, and that has to do more with knowing counter window timing, which you might not be super familiar with if you're really new to the game. Don't really worry about that for now. Just know that this card is a really good card right now, and you're going to want to keep that in the back of your mind that you're going to want to learn about counter windows sooner, or as soon as you feel a little bit more comfortable with the game. We're also playing 3 copies of Surprise Attack SSB Vegeta. What's really cool about the naming of this card is that it pays homage to a Surprise Attack Frieza that has been in the game for a long time, and he's a pretty similar card. So unique, critical, auto. If your opponent has 2 or more energy and you remove a marker from a unison using Spirit Boost, you can play this card. So you're not going to ever play him for 4 energy, or at least you're going to avoid trying to do that. You're going to play this guy for 0 energy by activating Spirit Boost. He has a 10k combo, so it's a little bit of a downside, but it's still a really cheap, aggressive card. And we're also playing 4 copies of Goku Spirit Boost Warrior. So this guy is really good as far as 4 drops go. In modern Dragon Ball Super, at least in the competitive landscape, tapping 4 for a card means it's got to be really good. This one is pretty good. So deflect, double strike, dual attack, permanent. This card's in rest mode, and you have a unison with a cost of 2 in play. This card and your leader get plus 1,000 power, sorry. So he'll become a 21,000 battle card. Your leader will also become a 16,000 leader, which means it'll be a little bit tougher for your opponent to attack into these cards. He also has an auto limit 1 that says if he's removed from the battle area and sent to the drop area, you can play him from the drop area. So he's a little bit weak to blue and black that have non-drop area removal. Blue can put him into your deck or back to your hand, and black can send him to the warp. But he is pretty good against green, and just putting on a lot of pressure with 2 double strike 21k attacks is pretty solid. Another card from the structure deck exclusive that we're playing is 4 copies of Surprise Attack Gohan. So this card's really good. Activate battle for 1 red. If you have 2 or more mono red battle cards in your combo area, play this card from your hand, and then you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards and give it minus 10,000 power. So by comboing, you get to play a battle card for really cheap. There is a mechanic in the game called Arrival, and that relies on you comboing a certain combination of colors to play certain battle cards. This is kind of like an Arrival. I don't know, maybe they could have put that on the card somewhere, but it doesn't function exactly the same, but it is pretty similar to where you're comboing cards to reduce the cost of a battle card in your hand. So that's what this guy's good for. He's also a 20k attacker for 1 energy. Can't really complain about that. One of the cards we're playing to complement that Gohan is Piccolo Namekian Fortification. So when you attack with this guy, you can take a life, and that's what we call in the game Self-Awakening. Your leader takes himself down to 5 life when you play a Unison and Awaken, but you want to be at 4 life for the majority of the game, and I'll explain why about that a little bit later. This guy helps you get there, and he switches himself back to active mode, which means he cannot be attacked by normal means, and he'll be good combo fodder for you to be able to combo in and then play Surprise Attack Gohan, so that's pretty nice there. We're also playing 4 copies of Intensifying Power Trunks. This is a very similar card to Piccolo in the sense that when you attack, you take a life, but he gains 10,000 power and critical for the turn. So you'll be denying your opponent that card from their life, so they're not going to be able to see a new card when you're dealing damage to them. So that's really good. And then we are playing 4 copies of San Cabo. So this one is better late game 1-drop than Intensifying Power Trunks or Piccolo, because he, when he attacks, you take a life, he gains 10,000 power, and he gains double strike. So with that double strike, just like kind of the leader gives to your Unison, you're going to be able to deal the last 2 damage to your opponent, meaning that they're not going to be able to see one of the cards out of the life before they lose, which is going to be a big advantage for you. Moving along though, we are playing 4 copies of Son Goku San Youth. So this card is a blocker, so you can use him to basically eat up an attack from your opponent, especially a bigger, beefier attack. You're going to want to block with him. And then if you play him when you have a red Unison in play, he draws a card. So playing small guys that somehow replace themselves, meaning they either draw a card or take a life in the case of Cabo, Trunks, and Piccolo, that's really good value. Then we're playing 4 super combos. If you're new to the game, you should always play 4 super combos in your deck. They're just super high value. Most times when you combo the card, they either have 0 combo cost and 5,000 combo, or 1 combo cost and 10,000 combo. So a super combo has 0 combo cost and 10,000 power. This one also happens to draw you a card when you use it. There are various types of super combos in the game. One that people often play in this type of deck with this leader is a red-green Nappa super combo that is also a 0-10k, but it actually puts itself in play after using it for a combo, which is cool because then you can actually use it for a combo again later on. But yeah, you're going to want to make sure you're always playing super combos that correspond with your correct color leader. And then wrapping the deck up, guys, for our counter attack lineup, we're playing 3 copies of Is That All You Got? So if your leader's red, you can negate the attack, and then if you pitch a red card, you can give 2 of your opponent's battle cards minus 15,000 power. So he's actually kind of similar to the Yamcha counterplay in terms of minus 15 to battle cards. But yeah, this one can be used when your opponent attacks, so you can get a little bit more mileage out of it in certain situations. We're also playing 3 copies of Unending Awakening. This card's another counterattack, and if your leader's a red sand, which we are, you can give your leader plus 5,000 power for the turn, making it much more difficult for your opponent to actually deal damage to your leader. And we're also playing 3 copies of Android 18 Steadfast Technique. So since we're playing 6 extra cards, and sometimes they can be a little bit clunky in our hand, especially if we're trying to win the game, we can use her to combo, and then we pitch an extra card, discard it to the drop area, and the combo power of this card becomes 11k. So you're actually just making your attack much bigger and using some of those dead extra cards in your hand. And that is the 50 card main deck for the beginner guide. But now I'm going to show you guys some pretty cheap ways you can upgrade your deck list. So you can pick up a copy, or 4 copies rather, of Mercenary Tau Unequaled Assassin. This is a red card that's pretty much being played in every single red deck right now, because as long as your leader is red and you have 3 battle cards in play, which is relatively easy to meet, you can play him for free and he gains critical for the turn. So a really good red pickup, no matter how you decide to build Vegeta or any red leader for that matter at the moment. How about testing the opposition? This is a really good counterattack you can activate for free if you're at 5 life or less, and your leader, again, upon awakening, takes you down to 5 life. So this can be a really good way to get yourself down to 4. And cards like this, there's one for every color except for black, where you can negate with a card like this and spawn a blocker token. And those types of cards are super, super good for defending your unisons. So that can be a really good option there. I'm also going to recommend to you guys Bardock Pride of a low-class warrior. So this is more to represent a whole theme of a deck. You can build Vegeta with an entire Bardock's crew engine, which is basically Bardock and all his companions that basically create this entire aggro type of deck. It's a really fun way that I've been playing Vegeta, so I do want to recommend it to you guys. And what's really good about this deck is that you don't really need your drop area, so you can play cards that have Overwhelm on them, and those are generally always going to be black cards. And Overwhelm, what it does is, as long as you have the appropriate amount of cards in your drop area, and for the Secret Identity Masked Saiyan it needs at least 6, you can play this card without paying its energy cost. So instead of paying 6 for this, you can play it for 0, and then you can use its effect depending on what its effect text says. So this guy says when you play him using Overwhelm, you can warp your opponent's battle area up to a total of 6 cost. So this is a really good option, and it's a much cheaper alternative to a card called SS4 Bardock Fighting Against Fate, which is a really, really big, free, dual attacking 25k battle card, but it's much more on the expensive side. So I'm gonna recommend this to you guys, especially if you're a beginner. This is still a meta-worthy Overwhelm. It just happens to be way, way cheaper and function a bit differently. And the last thing I'm gonna recommend to you guys is picking up a copy of Heroine's Lineage. I talked about this in the Masked Saiyan beginner guide video, so you guys might be hearing me repeat myself a bit, but basically this is what's called an ultimate SCR. So it has an ultimate tag here, and it is an SCR type of card. And ultimate cards you can only play one of in your deck, and most starter decks will not come with an SCR. Well, none do actually, because they're usually pretty rare cards to find. But this one is sitting at about $50 at the time of recording, and it's a really good power play that you can play in any deck. So basically during battle, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards, cost 7 or less, and you can gain control of it. So if you do that defensively, it'll actually end the battle outright, which is really, really good. And this card, again, can be played in any deck, so it's a really good pickup for your first ultimate tag secret rare that you can play in any deck you decide to build. But anyways, guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys found this helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.